I think many of you may have received this already, but I've also on the chat put a link to Andy's description of the September 24th exercise. I think he also attached that to an email that many of you received. And speaking of Andy, I think he has arrived from from Waterland.
I am. Thanks, Mike, for being here when we started. I didn't know if it's going to make it or not. And Jim, I see Jim made it as well. Jim Davis, myself, we were both at Sheldon setting up the CERT information table for the eWeb's emergency well demonstration at the Sheldon High School. So we rushed up there and put things together, put the tent up, and then rushed back to our home. So thank you, Mike, for holding down the fort, so to speak. And of course, we have many of our other folks that would be on this briefing are also up there at the Sheldon Community Center as well, because they're putting the well together or they're staffing the information table. So, but that's why we are recording this, and thank you, Mike, for recording this session. Let's see, I don't know if how many more we got coming on. We got 17 so far, so good. Good morning to you all, and hopefully share with your folks that are in your district, in your neighborhood, the information from here. Matt Dillon has computer problems, so he will not be able to join us this morning. But that's not too important for Matt. Matt will just on the 24th, he's just going to be playing the EOC. This meeting is primarily for neighborhood radio team leaders and neighborhood damage assessment teams that work with the radio team leaders and also the neighborhood hams. The district net control and those folks last year, that last year's exercise was for us. So this exercise is more for the damage assessment teams and their radio team leaders for the 24th and also on October 29th. Those two exercises we've kind of drilled down to and really are focusing in on the neighborhood itself. Because I think that our ham radio operators for net control and stuff, we practice each Wednesday evening. So I think we're okay for that. We just now want to work more with the neighborhoods. Any questions before I go into what an example of what Saturday would be like that Saturday, the 24th? Any questions?
Andy, at the Valley Radio Club meeting last night, one of the members asked me to send him the link to the recording. How do we get that?
I'll pass that over to Mike.
Okay.
Let's see. I can just go ahead and post that as a news item on the EugeneEmComm.org site, if everybody's okay with that. Of course, at that point, it becomes available to the world as a whole. So if people are comfortable with that, I can post a link there.
I'm okay with it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, let me see here. So any other questions before I start? So anyone? Okay. So the 24th, everything begins at 10 o'clock. And what we have stated beforehand and in agreement with the City of Eugene Emergency Management, there are two groups that will self-deploy after a major event, whether it be man-made disaster or a natural disaster. And those two elements or groups that will self-deploy will be your neighborhood radio team leaders and their damage assessment teams. And then the other group is the Eugene Emergency Communication Net, which is part of the new Eugene Emergency Communication System, which both groups make up the emergency communication system for Eugene, the neighborhood level and the ham level, which is the network of radio communications. So both groups self-deploy after a major disaster. They don't need to have the city say, go ahead and start. So at 10 o'clock, when this exercise starts, radio team leaders within the neighborhood, they can pick up their FRS radios and they can go ahead and try to connect and contact comm-wise with their damage assessment teams. If they want to have them to group at the radio team leaders residence or whatever, and have a sort of like a survey briefing, that would be great. And just, make sure that the radios are all good before the damage assessment teams go out walking their assigned area of operation of doing a survey. That would be super. Also at 10 o'clock, Matt Dillon will start calling each of the district's net control operators and establishing contact with those ham radios that are net control for each of the districts. Once Matt establishes a contact with a district net, he will pass on the information, and then he'll go to the next district. If a district doesn't respond, then he'll skip that and he'll go to another district. So, but in that time, the neighborhoods are already busy working. They're already doing their thing. Neighborhood net controls, like Whitaker, Harlow, at 10 o'clock, you're already trying to establish comms with your neighborhood hams. You're not waiting around. You're trying to make sure that you've got comms going on, that your radios are working, and everything is fine. And then once you have that done, of course, you're also monitoring the EOC to see if and when Matt will be calling your location as well. And then you reply to Matt. District net controls, if you're right in the middle of working with your neighborhood ham and the EOC calls, you have the option to either reply back to the EOC to stand by, or you could call your neighborhood hams and ask them to stand by and then reply to the EOC. That option is up to you. We want to try to make this fun and as realistic as possible. So as an example, let's say as an example of what may take place, I'll just use Santa Clara as an example. So we have a neighborhood ham radio operator working on Thunderbird and Santa Clara. Of course, her call signed to her neighborhood damage assessment teams, which she has two. She's going to be radio. And so, but she may have a damage assessment team that she identifies, one being Wendover and another one being identified as Sedona. So Kat, being a neighborhood ham, she'll establish a comm. She'll say, Wendover, this is radio over. And hopefully a Wendover damage assessment team is on the air, and then damage assessment team Wendover will say, radio, this is Wendover, go ahead. And then Kat would say, Wendover, this is radio. Please begin your neighborhood survey of your operational area that you're assigned. And then Wendover will come back, say, radio, this window, understood. Begin survey of operational area. This is Wendover out. And then Kat would say, then she would make a call to Sedona, this is radio. Radio, this is Sedona, go ahead. Sedona, this is radio. Begin your begin your survey of your operational neighborhood area. Over. Radio, this is Sedona. Copy, understand. Begin a survey of the assigned neighborhood operational area. Sedona out. So that would be it. And then Kat would say, she would call Santa Clara. This is a Thunderbird radio. And then Santa Clara net control, say Thunderbird radio. This is net control. Santa Clara, go ahead. Santa Clara, this is Thunderbird radio. I have 2 damage assessment teams in progress of doing surveying. Over. Thunderbird radio, this is Santa Clara, understood. 2 damage assessment teams are in progress. This is Santa Clara out. So I hope that little scenario may help. What will take place on Saturday within the neighborhoods. And then Santa Clara can pass that information on to the EOC if the EOC asks, but we don't want to clutter up the airways because the EOC has already asked that that neighborhoods start collecting damage information from the neighborhood. So they already know that this thing works. So the Santa Clara wouldn't have to go back and say, okay, we're working. Well, EOC already knows that. So any questions on that? I see. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry. You're muted. You're muted there, Jerry. You're muted, Jerry.
No, I'm not.
There you go. Yeah, you were.
The space bar didn't work. So I assume Kat would talk to me using the UHF frequency. Am I right?
You're all right. You're correct. Yes. So,
And then I would talk to the EOC on VHF.
That's correct. Yes. Yes. I did not clarify that. You're correct.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Next question is, can you email me Kat's contact information so that
I
we
will.
can practice?
I will. I'm pretty busy today, but I will get that information to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I got a lot of irons in the fire today on that. So yeah, thanks Jerry for bringing it up. Yes. So Kat will have 2 radios that she's got to work with. FRS radio to her damage assessment team, and then of course her ham radio on the UHF designated sector frequency to Santa Clara net control. And then Jerry, being the Santa Clara net control, he will have to pass on if he has a ham radio that can use has dual windows. Then he can switch over to the other one and then contact Northwest net control with his information. So on that, and then Northwest, they go straight VHF to the EOC. Any other questions? So as for neighborhoods that I know that are participating and that I will this week, maybe Monday or Wednesday, I need to get with you, your radio team leaders, to give you envelopes and the damage assessment forms that you need to place inside so you can take them to your neighborhood and distribute them and put them out so that it'll be a treasure hunt for your damage assessment teams to go find on Saturday, the 24th. So I need to get those to you soon. So I have Quail Run Housing Association in Harlow, which will be participating. I have a neighborhood which Megan Kimball's damage assessment team in Whitaker will be participating. So that's 2. She's operating with the well team this morning. I think she's participating does she have a representative here? I think she was trying to have a rep going to stand-ins for her.
She's got football.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
Sean.
okay.
I'm
Oh,
Sean.
Sean, there's Sean. Okay, hey, nice to meet you, Sean.
Nice to meet
Okay,
everybody.
Sean, so Sean is, he's new with us, and so he's gonna be working with Megan. So we have a team with Whitaker, and of course, Whitaker will pass their information on to Joanna, which is the Whitaker Neighborhood Ham. And then she passes on to Whitaker for Southeast 2 Net Control, which is Gary. We have Santa Clara has a damage assessment team, which will be functioning. So that's 3. Is there any other teams, Lena? Do you have any other teams in friendly area? Are you having working?
We have, we're anticipating having several teams.
Okay, if you can let me know so I can know how many envelopes to give you.
Thea was going to connect with you on that, I think. We discussed
Okay.
it at our last meeting, so she might have, I think we thought of like 8 packages.
Is Don here? Don Matheny? No. I know that he's in Southeast 1, and he wanted to have a bunch, but how many did I say? We got 1, 2, 3. We'll say friendly has 3. That's 6. And if Southeast 1 has 3, what's that? That's 9. And then Northeast Neighbors will have 2 more. That's at 11. And then Cal Young. Do we have a rep from Cal Young here? Neighborhood? Cal Young may have 2 neighborhoods. What is that? That's what, 13? Is that math right? So 13. So if each neighborhood had 3 envelopes, so 3 times 13 is what? That's 39. It's 39 messages that will be going to the EOC. That could take up like 2 hours for trying to all that traffic going through to the neighborhood net controls, to the district net controls, and on to Matt Dillon. So that's quite a few messages. We don't want to overload it. We don't, because we're only got 2 hours, 10 to noon. And then after the noon time, we will have a debrief at 1 o'clock, just here, same place, to talk about, okay, what worked, what didn't work. Can we change this, or can this be changed? Because the 24th will be the dress rehearsal for the 29th. The only thing different for the 29th is in the envelopes, it won't be a written damage assessment form that's filled out. It will be a picture of a damaged building or site that the damage assessment team will have to write down what they see. So these 2 exercises are geared to the neighborhoods. It's a training for the damage assessment teams and the radio team leaders, so that radio leaders can get training and practice on initiating a ICS 213 general message. Don't worry about it if you've never done one before. Practice makes perfect. We keep practicing, keep doing it. You'll get better at it. So there's nobody's going to be doing grading on this stuff. So that's the whole purpose, is so we can learn and be better at what we're doing. And the more we practice, the quicker we'll be and the more efficient we'll be. So I would really like for us to have more of these type events. So any questions so far? I see a hand from Thea, and I see a hand from Jerry, and I see a hand from Jim. Let's go with Thea first.
I think Lena was first, actually. Thank you,
Oh,
though.
I didn't see Lena's hand is camouflaged by her back wall.
Yeah.
Okay, Lena, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that Fan would like at least 4 packages.
Four? Okay,
We have 4 quarters, 4 quadrants with radio leaders, and we're
Okay.
hoping that each one will have a team. And if for some reason we aren't able to use that many, we can probably just not use a package.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, hopefully you can have 4 that will be operational. That'll be what 3 to 12. That'd be 15 messages going to Gary. So that'd be fine. Yeah, that'd be fine. That's great. I'll make sure that I get that up, and I will either give it to Thea or you, or somehow get it to you.
Probably
those
Thea's
two.
more accessible.
Okay. All right, then I'll reach out to Thea and give her the envelope. I'm not going to stuff the envelopes, and I'm not going to place them where you want to put them.
That's fine.
So-
We've got a plan.
Yeah, just kind of make it like a little treasure hunt. Okay, Thea, next.
What I wanted to say was, we are renting a community center and inviting as many people as want to come on the 24th. So I really don't want them just standing around wondering what to
Yeah.
do. We'd like to involve them, and if we could have more messages, they don't all have to be sent over the air. Part of the exercise is to prioritize. I understand it.
Yes.
So we can, choose which may be the most urgent and just send, 2 if it,
Right.
whatever net control district asks for, perhaps. If that's one thought.
That's okay. That's no problem. I understand that. That will be good. I just didn't want to overload, I guess, the EOC, and also trying to stay in that 2-hour window. But yes, I understand that you guys can play. You can play again in the afternoon if you want. Just don't tear up the envelopes, because I only have so many, and they were a little spendy to get that color, and plus I had to label each one with cert, so that's time consuming. So don't rip them up. We can use them again for the 29th. Let's see, we had Jerry's next, and then Jim, and then we'll get to Gary. Jerry,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Thank you, sir. So you're going to hand me 3 envelopes. Do I hand them to Kat, or do I turn around and hide them near her house, or what area?
No, I'm going to give the envelopes to Kat. She's the neighborhood
All right.
ham, and then she's going to go, and she will actually go and disperse the envelopes
That makes more sense.
somewhere.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, on that. So let's see, we had Jim next.
Hi, Andy. Over the years that we've been doing this, it's not stuck in my mind what we do with the emergency. From my CERT training, we have reports that are classified as emergency, priority, or routine. And at one point, we were told that emergency reports went straight to the EOC. And as I recall, the word we got back from the EOC, Matt Dillon, was that would overload him. So during this exercise and any other exercise, do the emergency, the classified emergency, do those get sent in from the neighborhood net control to the district net control or to the EOC?
Yes, yeah, that was a question, I think is maybe a year and a half back or so. I got clarification from the Eugene Emergency Manager, which stated we will follow the message form flow, which is in the neighborhood resource guide. And so, which means that we will not go directly to the EOC and skip neighborhood net controls or district net controls. We will follow the message flow. That's from the Eugene Emergency Manager. And so, so if you figure that through these damage assessment forms, which will be found, and you find one that is of a emergency nature, then that neighborhood ham needs to go to the neighborhood net control, say emergency traffic. I have emergency traffic, and to go that way. Make sure that you preface all before you actually start reading your message. You preface that with exercise, so that people that may be listening and out in the world won't think that the world has come to an end and start panicking. So, but yes, just if you got emergency traffic and it needs to go, just say, this is, well, let's say Evan is the ham radio operator for Quail Run. So Evan would say Quail Run radio, actually would say Harlow Net, this is Quail Run radio. I have emergency traffic, something like that, and would pass it on to you, and then you pass it on up to net and on up to the EOC. Does that answer question there, Jim?
It did when you said the net control, the neighborhood net control passes it up to the district. And then the district passes it to EOC.
Yes, that's correct. Yep. All right. Okay, next is Gary. Gary.
You said there's a debrief at noon?
At 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
That gives time people to, if they're out on the streets or whatever, walking their neighborhood, gives them time to where they need to be and try to get to a computer or something if they want to join in. We may, the exercise may go over maybe to 12, 15, I don't know. I think last year when we did it, it did kind of go over a little bit. I can't remember how much, but it did pass 12 o'clock. It was our first rodeo as well.
Sure. Do you think the EOC will be on the repeater this time?
No, the EOC will be on Simplex this time and also for the 29th.
And that's the 29th of October, right?
Yes, that's correct. 29th October. Yeah.
And
that will be the EOC Simplex.
Right. And then the damage assessment team, are they the ones that are going to fill out an ICS 213?
The radio team leader for that damage assessment team will fill out the ICS 213.
And it'll go up to the EOC from there.
Yes, and so all the ham radio operators that are working with the radio team leaders, they don't need to change anything on the 213. They just relay it. They don't have to change it. Even if you think this is spelled wrong or this is whatever, well, you're writing it up too. But even if you this doesn't sound right, do not change anything.
Right.
You keep it the same way. But the this training, like I said, is for the radio team leaders to get practice in writing messages, and then also for the damage assessment team.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yes. My hands up,
Joanne.
but Thea may have been up before me.
Okay, go ahead, Joanne.
All right, I want to make sure I understand the procedure here in the WIT, partly for myself, partly because Sean is so new to this. But my understanding is that either I go to you to get these envelopes or you come here to give me the envelopes, and then I get them to Sean. And then Sean gets them to his neighborhood people. And then he, I guess via FRS, reports back to me. And then I report to Gary. And then he talks to you. Is that correct?
You got part of it correct. I'm gonna get a hold of Sean. I will touch base with Sean. Sean is the radio team leader for the 24th. That's my understanding.
Right.
He's going to be working with the damage assessment team. So So hopefully Sean has my contact information, and we can hook up, and I'll give Sean the envelopes and the damage assessment forms. And then
Okay,
Sean can go out and place those in the neighborhood that the team covers. You don't have to be involved with that at all. So you're just going to be the relay from Sean, the messages. I understand that Sean hasn't had any experience working with the ICS forms. That's okay. There's a lot of the damage assessment teams that really do not have a clue what they're doing, but that's the whole purpose of this exercise, is that you learn by doing. And so you know, we can learn, and we can train, and we can, you know, with practice we do better. So that's the whole purpose of this. So I will touch base with Sean and give him the envelopes, and he can place in the WIT area of the area of operation that they cover on that. And then we have Thea next. Joanna, Joanna Stoker. Yes.
Thank you. I misspoke earlier. We're not renting the community center for the 24th, just at Washington Park, where we're going to gather. The community center is for the 20th, Tuesday night, when Andy will be giving a whole nother talk about exactly what DATs are and how to form the teams, and all to whoever's the public is invited to come, 6:30 to 8. And I wanted to suggest that as a possibility for an envelope transfer point. If you wanted to, were able to come to an in-person talk at Washington Community Center, we could possibly hand out envelopes there, if that's a one thing. The other thing is that our radio team leaders are spontaneous according to the exercise and who's available and who shows up. So what I think we were anticipating doing was having at least one radio operator in each disaster team, as expected, and they might all be radio operators, but and having each disaster damage assessment team actually write up their own 213. We think it would be too much for the radio leader to do them, and everybody needs that practice. And because they are going to be radio operators, that's going to give them something to do and something to be trained on. That was my thinking, at least, for how we're going to do it without, with perhaps more people involved than others may have. We had 14 last October, and we were hoping for more this October 29th. So I just don't know how many are going to come on the 24th, but we will get an idea of that after the 20th talk, and we'll see. But we're just I think everybody needs that practice of writing the 213s, and we'd like to spread that out as much as possible.
That's fine. You guys can tailor this to what will work for you. The key part is that the 213s come from the radio team leader, and then it's the hams or relays. They just relay it on up. Before I get to Lena, Tyler, are you guys planning on having a damage assessment team to work on the 24th?
I need to talk to them about that. I know at our HOA, we're going to have some impromptu thing, but I want to make sure that gets coordinated with Dawn. So
okay, well, let me know if, like I said, you just need 2 people to pair to walk the streets and then find the envelopes. So just let me know if you guys want to participate. It'd be great if you do, and then I can get you the envelopes and stuff on that. Thanks, Tyler.
We'll plan on it, but I'll confirm with Dawn.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Lena. You're muted.
Okay, couple of questions. I forgot them and then I'm remembering them as I go. If I'll try to get them out. So as far as the information coming in, so the damage assessment teams are having their 213s that they're giving to their neighborhood radio person, who then for us will be going to our net control, our ham net control, for the neighborhood that's going to talk to Gary in
Right.
Southeast 2. So is there also a message record form that as the 213 comes in, that we're identifying those messages and that they've been transmitted? Or is that done on a separate log for like our neighborhood?
ICS 309.
Okay.
Yeah, the 309 radio log is, radio operators should be utilizing that. I've been kicking around in my head and I'm not sure if it'd be overkill or be too complicated. I was thinking about maybe having a radio log for messages transmitted and a radio log for messages received. And maybe it may cause more confusion than it is. But definitely a radio log, and hopefully I think there's a copy that you can download. It's on the Mike can clarify that if it's on that EugeneEmComm.org page.
Yeah, there are various 309s, and I don't think it's an official ICS form anymore.
No,
but I do have copies of that. The other question was, so when we're transmitting messages on the 213s, we're keeping them exactly the same. But in reality, when people are sending in information, there may be additional questions or information that's needed to fill in the gaps on some of those things. So I think that's one of the reasons why you might want to identify which message is which, or if it gets to, by the time it gets to Gary or to the EOC, there might be pertinent information that they need about that. So I'm assuming in a real situation, there would be perhaps clarifying questions coming back.
Right, you're right. And that's something that we're working on. The next thing they need to do is to, we need to number our messages, have them numbered and identify which neighborhood did they come from. Because like you're saying, if we send it up, the EOC may send a message back down to ask a question about a certain message.
Yeah.
And so we have, I think, yes, go for it and do that. That is something I wanted to build on additional exercise to do that. This time priority was working with the damage assessment teams and radio team leaders, and then also utilizing the radio logs. Once we're proficient in that, then let's add into the mix of you can do it now, identify and make sure you identify where they come from, and then in the future exercise throw in a monkey wrench to where that we will have the EOC actually send a message back down asking a question.
Okay.
I didn't want to do all that at this time.
Right. The other last question was on the 213s. I think it would be really helpful, especially for people who haven't seen a 213 or know what to do with it, if there could be included in the packet a really simple, clear sample of a filled out 213, so people can kind of look at what goes in what place. Just a little bit of an example can be really helpful.
Okay. I guess I could resend the packet out and I can add add something to it. I filled out a completed 213.
Thanks.
Yeah. We had Jerry.
I know, unmute. Okay, Lena said something that I'm not sure I understood. And that is that the DATs normally do not fill out a 13, that only the radio operators fill out a 13, and that each level of radio operator, whether it being the network or the district, would have a different copy of the 213. Am I correct in that assumption?
Well, what they're what Thea's talking about, they're doing a cross training and they're.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but the 213, the initiation of the 213 message will be coming from the neighborhood. Radio team leader. That's where it actually starts. The ham radio operator does not start the 213. The ham radio operator sure is writing down a message and actually putting that on a 213 form to have as a file.
Yeah, exactly.
You have as a file at their radio station along with a radio log of what they sent. But the ham radio operators, all they do is relay what they've got. So the initial 213 starts in the neighborhood and then it just is relayed on up.
But then you're back, it's still a little confusing. So that the neighborhood would send to the district. In our case, we're gonna go
No.
direct to the EOC, right?
No, the neighborhood, you talk about the neighborhood ham, like in Cat Tanzer, is sending to the neighborhood net control,
Right,
not to the district. Yeah.
I agree. So the neighborhood net radio control would be me.
No, you're the neighborhood net control. The neighborhood radio team leader would be Cat. Yeah.
Okay, so does she create a 213?
Yes. She will
That
be.
when I receive the message, I would also create a 213 before I send it up to the EOC.
You could, if you want, if I was you and I received, and I'm writing on a piece of scratch paper
Yeah,
of what Cat is sending you, and then you read back to Cat, this is what you wrote down, and the both of you say, yep, that's what I said. You agree, that's what I said. You can then call district net control and give them the message. And then when you have after that, then you could take on your scratch paper, put it on a formal form, 213, what you just sent and time and all that, and set it aside.
so we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Each level would have their own 213.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about numbering of these things. So what I would do in my case is when Kat called me, I'd assign her like C001.
Yeah.
And then when in my case, since we don't have a district yet, when I talk to EOC, would I give them that number or would they assign me a new number?
You're not going to give district or EOC any numbers. You're just going to give the message.
Okay.
They'll add their own number to it.
Okay, and then they would inform me, so I know that EOC might say, for my message 1, 2, 3, I need more information from your district assessment team.
Yeah, because if you give them your number, it may be a duplicate of number they already have. So more than likely, message receipt time may be the identifying factor.
This may be something we should deal with offline and really design how that would
It's
work.
something that we have to work out and figure it out on that. I think Lena had another question or a comment.
Yeah, I was just thinking, since we're using the 213 forms and that's the message that's going to be, we want to keep our message the same. So like in this situation, Kat has formulated a 213 that message is then going to Jerry. And I would think it would save steps rather than having a piece of scratch paper, just have the 213 and filling it in with what Kat says and confirming that that's the message, and then
That's fine too.
I would think either way would be fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
I just, if I don't have to write it twice, I don't like to.
Yeah, that's fine as well. It's whatever works best.
Whatever works.
Whatever works best for you is what you need to do. Yeah.
Lena,
Yeah.
don't forget that in the real world, you might have 5 DATs talking to you. So you'd probably scribble it down on a notepad, and in between emergencies, transfer that to a 213.
Yeah, so it's with all of this, we hope to get more volunteers to come help us out. So that's where it'll be important that we can enlist some volunteers to be scribes, but it takes time. But anyway, Thea, you had your hand up.
Well, I just wanted to clarify, our understanding of the damage assessment team is it would include a radio operator, that they're not separate.
Oh, okay.
There
All right.
can be ones that in our neighborhoods that go out 2 people at a time. They can go and walk around, then go find a radio operator. Yeah, that was where I think some confusion was coming from. I think, each neighborhood's gonna work out their own system.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so some people may have more people available than others, but I think, leaving it up to a net control, not the ham, but the FRS radio leader to write all the 213s is asking too much.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. I think Rennie had his hand up, but had a hand up. I'm not sure, but looks like.
It's just a quick side. This is Evan. Andy,
Oh,
how you
hey,
doing?
Evan.
Who's my contact at Quail Run? I just wanted to do a test with it.
Your contact at Quail Run is Steve.
Okay. All right. Is he here?
Yeah,
Yes,
he's right there.
Hey, Steve, nice to meet you. So at some point, I texted before, I think her name was Kathy. She might have given me your number. So I think I'm going to text you here in a little bit. At some point, I'd just like to test out communications with you. So don't need to take up the whole meeting, but just wanted to introduce myself.
Great. Thank you. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think Kathy moved back east or somewhere. So.
Yeah, I was texting with her, but she gave me Steve's number. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan. Any other questions? Let's make it fun. Let's have a good time. Don't really get it, give you anxiety attack. Let's try to keep it fun and light and also just, have fun with it, practice with it. The 24th is the one where we want to see all kinds of mistakes. And so we can improve and be better on the 29th. Because the 29th is when we will have city employees involved. So we kind of want to shine on the 29th. So this is the time where we want to really have, kind of mess up a little bit and stuff like that. So, all right, no other questions? It is, what's the only, oh, wait, we got one more, Gary.
Yeah, so don't get rushed.
Yes.
Feeling rushed, take, slow everybody down. Don't, we're gonna, it sounds like I'm gonna be relaying 16 messages.
Yeah, could be.
So I'm gonna be taking my time, doing it right.
Right.
Actually, more than 16, because I'll be doing Megan's messages too.
Yeah, and ham radio operators, when working with the neighborhood radio team leaders, you tell them to slow down, because that takes practice. Everybody wants to talk on the radio like I'm talking now, real fast, like we're, like normal conversation. You kind of talk and rattle on. When you're working with the radios, keep your words 5 or 6 word increments, and then pause, and then another grouping of words. So ham radio operators, if the radio team leaders are talking too fast, tell them to slow down and actually over enunciate the words and numbers on that. Matt.
I'm still confused about what my role is in this exercise. All I have is I'm going to be Northwest District Net Control.
I asked you if you wanted to do that or not. If
Yeah.
Are you going to go in that role?
I think so.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to you'll take traffic from Jerry, Santa Clara.
Yep.
And if we may not have Ron on here for the 24th, I'm still working with him, but there's a possibility that we would have Ron on the 29th, along with that housing association off of Barger and Terry for the 29th. So, but that's, we don't know yet. But yeah, so you'll be the Northwest District Net Control. So you'll be talking to EOC and you'll be talking to Jerry, and that's it. That's all you got.
Okay.
And Thea.
I contest that Gary needs to be sending 16 messages. I think the exercise and practice is needed on the lower tiers between our district to EOC. Probably don't need the practice. I know Gary doesn't. So I would suggest that, you know, you have authority to prioritize, that you don't have to send every message, that we need to do it from down below perhaps, but
I want 3 messages from each neighborhood to go to the EOC.
Okay.
So that, because that way Matt Dillon would know how many messages total he should have received. So if we have, like I said, we counted up 39 messages using 3 from each damage assessment team. Matt should have a total count or receipt of 39. That's what we're going for.
So that's only 9 for, if Gary has 3 neighborhoods, that's only 9, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I was talking, let's see, 3, 12, what did I say that, 12, 15, 15 we were talking about earlier. It was 4 from Fan, 4 from Fan and 1 from Whitaker. So that's 5. So 3 times 5 is 15 messages. But you guys can do more amongst yourselves, but to go up to the EOC, just 15.
I'm sorry, I'm not following that at all. Your math is
You have 4 in the Fan.
4 envelopes.
Yeah, no, 4 damage assessment teams in the Fan. I'm just with that. You got 4 quadrants, but anyway, 4. You in each 3 times 4 is 12, and then you got the Whitaker. And that's another 3, so that's 15 envelopes. 12 for the Fan and 3 for the Whitaker.
Okay. Well, if Fan didn't want to send all of those, if we prioritized on our own, then that would help, wouldn't it?
No, I want you to send 3.
Okay, because you said 3 from each neighborhood.
3 from, yes, 3 from each, yeah. For each from each damage assessment team, I should have said. And so if you have 3 groups out there working and not 4, then it's only going to be 9.
Seems like we need to report at the beginning how many teams we actually have that are out there.
Yes,
We
yeah.
may not know until that we gather.
Well, I hopefully we'll have, at least a day in advance, so I can tell Matt how many to expect. Yeah. I hope you guys don't wait till like 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, we're going to have this many. That's
Well, last
better.
October it was raining and people that thought they could sign up couldn't, and things happened, and
We got to have better planning than waiting till an hour before an exercise.
we did have a registration form and we did have a good turnout, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying life happens, so we don't know. I'm sorry, Charlie.
Okay, let's see. We had Charlie was up next. You're muted, Charlie. We can't hear you.
How about that?
There we go. That's better.
I just want to confirm that we're going to be starting the damage assessment teams are going to be starting before or at 10 o'clock. We're not going to wait for activation, correct?
Yeah, we mentioned that early, first on. I think you weren't with us at the beginning. We already established that. Yep. Thanks, Charlie.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry. You're muted, Jerry.
Sounded like you said Gary.
I'm sorry, Jerry. Yeah.
Okay, So now, since that's changing my frequency setup now, so Kat will talk to me. And what is she going to use the UHF?
Yes, 441-550.
Right. And then I'll talk to Matt Albertson on 441-550.
Yep.
That's going to be an issue because Matt and I cannot reach each other at that. We've tried that.
Really?
Yeah. Now I know I'm changing my antenna sometime next week, so that maybe next week I have to get somebody to go up on the roof. But until that's fixed, I know we can't talk to each other.
All right, I'll get back with you and Matt later on today,
Okay,
and I will give you, can you talk? I'll give you a VHF frequency.
that's fine. We know we can do. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
You can move around too, like we are.
Well, he's stationary as like a comm center.
Oh,
So,
okay. Sorry.
But, yeah, I'll get back with you, Jerry,
Okay.
and so that, and Matt, and give you a alternate VHF frequency. Any other questions? I hope it wasn't too confusing. I hope we're okay. We're not confused?
That's the whole idea of a practice.
All right,
Well, I have another.
sure,
We're activating at 10 o'clock. We're self-activating.
yes.
We're getting on our comms. We're figuring out who we are in the neighborhood, where we're going to
Yes.
go.
Yep.
But and then we actually wait for the order to go search.
No, no.
I thought there was like 20 minutes on the timeline before it goes out.
No, you can, like I said earlier in the example I was saying, that I kind of did an impromptu thing with Kat and her damage assessment team. At 10 o'clock, she's making contact with her damage assessment team, and they've got good comms. And Kat says, go ahead and start your area of operation of survey.
Oh, okay.
And so they're already going. And so then Kat, she'll notify the other damage assessment team. Same thing. And then she'll notify Santa Clara Net Control that she has 2 teams in operation. And that's it. And so the process is already in work. And then it doesn't matter. Matt could be talking to District 1 and hasn't even got to Northwest yet. So, but everybody is already in work. So
Okay.
yes. on that.
Thank you.
And it's good to know how many teams you're going to have working, because you have to have time prior to the exercise to go place the envelopes before the team actually starts walking. So that'd be good to know before. So hopefully you'll know before 9 o'clock on that. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, everybody have a good day. The Ducks are playing, and also come on down to the Sheldon Community Center by Sheldon High School and the Sheldon Fire Department, and look at the emergency well in operation, and pick up a bucket of water, and visit the CERT table. You have a good day. Have a good weekend as well. Take care.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Andy.
Thank you
Everyone.
all. Thank you all. Bye-bye.